while in the womb, and then everything goes quiet until we get to puberty. And at the time of puberty, the hypothalamus starts putting out GnRH. So then we get LH and FSH, we start getting estrogen, testosterone, we start getting secondary sexual characteristics. And there they are from the book. Notice that the girl goes into puberty before the boy does. And you see that in height. Girls have their growth spurt when they're around 5th grade, and then boys later, more when they're in high school. If you are particularly a taller than average woman, you know that. You know that you were towering over the boys in your classroom when you were in 5th grade. A few years ago, the elementary school here in McAllister had some kind of walls collapsing, water problems, whatever. And so the children used our classrooms here. So we had, you know, band class and various things going on in these classrooms. And class was coming in, I stood back to let them go by, and all the girls were eye level with me, and all the boys were children. And I thought, oh, 5th grade is going by.
Yeah. My 6th grader is 5'6". She's a girl, and all the boys are like to here on her. I mean, she's like, Mom, all the boys are like here.
You know,
they just all, I mean, they look like babies. They look like they should be in the 3rd grade, and she looks like she should be in the 10th grade. It's crazy.
Now let's talk about this. This is kind of a public service announcement that you need to know about endocrine disruptors. Plus they're common in the environment now. All right, what is an endocrine hormone disruptor? It binds to hormone receptors, so particularly the estrogen receptors, and acts like estrogen. This can explain why male sperm count has declined steadily over the last 50 years. It has the potential to explain miscarriage. There was a study where they found these endocrine disruptors were higher in the amniotic fluid of women who had miscarried than in women who had not. This can also explain early puberty. I had students tell me that they know 1st graders who keep feminine hygiene products in their desk for their children that are in their classroom. Those are 6 years old, 5 and 6 year old going into puberty already. Of course, part of that could be explained as obesity, but it can also be explained as these substances that are in our environment. All right, the primary culprits are the phthalates and the bisphenol A, BPA. So these are plasticizers. They are in these water bottles. So everyone's got a water bottle. They're in the water bottles, and so you are drinking them. They are in the lining of tin cans that you have your vegetables in. Consumer Reports did a study looking at the levels of BPA in canned vegetables. I looked at green beans because that's the one, that's my canned vegetable go-to. It had 115% the recommended amount of BPA. So in which case they recommend don't use foods in tin cans if you can help it. Go with fresh or frozen. And if you must use them, wash them first. You know, so dump out the liquid and rinse the vegetables. And now she's like, I don't want to drink the rest of that water.
I understand it was, some are BPA free.
And some are BPA free. So for example, this water bottle over here, although she filled it with a plastic bottle of water,
I didn't this morning. This was running out.
The water bottles are typically BPA free, and now you're seeing BPA free. So in case you wonder what that means, it started with Gerber. When Gerber found out about this, because it influences growing reproductive systems as well, and they said, whoa, we don't know what it is, but we don't want it in our babies. That's bad press. So they were the first to go BPA free with their baby bottles, and then everyone started jumping on that bandwagon. And so like my bottle, for example, is BPA free. It's also in dental sealants, and it's in cash register receipts. I mean, it is throughout our environment, and it has the strong potential of disrupting our endocrine systems, particularly increasing estrogen. The longer you have estrogen in your lifetime, the greater the risk for breast cancer. And then that's the issue. So the age of when puberty begins is going steadily down in our society. So again, part of that could be obesity, but it's also likely due to how ubiquitous these endocrine disruptors are in our environment. Now you may ask, well, why doesn't somebody do something? You know, why aren't these removed? All right, they are active at very low levels. So how do we know that your breast cancer was caused by the BPA that's in the plastic water bottles that you were exposed to in your lifetime. So very low levels, multiple sources. We don't have a clear, this amount of BPA causes this breast cancer, causes this amount of miscarriage. We don't have that clear link. Again, because very low levels of hormone from multiple sources. So while EPA says, BPA bad, the companies that make the plastic bottles, that make the chemicals, includes some insecticides, say you can't prove it. Until you can prove it, we have no reason to take it out
But
of the
what good
products.
is it anyway for them? Is it just
It makes the plastics either more rigid or more bendable, more flexible. So it
it's
makes
cheaper, probably?
Probably. Probably. Because then I read, then there was, if you take out the BPA from the plastics, you have to use a different chemical, and that chemical is an endocrine disruptor as well. It's just, the BPA is the one that's getting the bad press. It's like, okay. So there was your public service announcement.
Go with glass. If you're not sure, if you don't want it, go with glass. I buy glass baby food,
Oh, yeah.
baby food in all glass jars.
Mhm.
I'm just,
They have glass baby bottles too.
What?
Glass baby bottles.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
yeah, I have this.
All right, now let's talk about general pathways. So this is both boys and girls. Uh-oh, gotta get the cup. All right, in general, GnRH is released by the hypothalamus. It causes the anterior pituitary to put out LH and FSH, which is picked up by the hypothalamus. There's our short loop. LH and FSH affect the cells of your gonads, either ovaries or testes, to produce their hormones, estrogen, testosterone respectively, and to produce eggs and sperm. And there we have our long loop feedback on both the hypothalamus and the anterior pituitary. All right, let's start with boys, because boys are easy. Which is silly. All right, in the case of boys, men, LH, I'm gonna go to this next slide. Yeah, I don't like this slide. Come on, come on. Don't I have another one? Come on, come on. There we go, that's the one I was looking for. All right, there we have FSH and LH. LH has its receptors in the Leydig cells. Leydig, luteinizing, here's your little help to remember. Leydig cells put out testosterone. So LH causes the reduction of testosterone. Follicle stimulating hormone binds to the Sertoli cells to make sperm. So FSH makes sperm, but testosterone has to be present. So LH makes testosterone, FSH makes sperm. And that's what all those previous slides were saying, by the way. Your book gives you both of these pictures, but one's right side up, and the other one, the order is going down wrong. So we're talking about mitosis for the sperm, and it goes this way. Here is the spermatogonium. Here is mitosis for the sperm, ending in sperm, ending in sperm. That's why I turned this figure upside down, so that they're going in the same direction. Oh. And I wanted to point out the difference between testosterone and estradiol, which is the precursor for estrogen. Notice it's one enzyme, aromatase. That's all. So the men are producing estrogen, we are producing testosterone. It's just that in different levels. However, anything that affects this enzyme will affect, is it going to be testosterone, is it going to be estrogen? So the fatter a man gets, you notice he starts getting man boobs? Boobs. Because he has a switch to estrogen. He has more estrogen. So the fatter he gets, the more estrogen he produces. So he produces breasts and his package shrinks. And if we're talking about the 700-pounder, I got a story for you. I see you. My patient was 700 pounds. And I was supposed to put on an external catheter. An external catheter is like a condom with a tube on it. So it's for the patients who are incontinent and keeps, from wetting the bed and having urine break down their skin and stuff. And in a man that's not 700 pounds, that's not difficult. You just put it on their penis, secure it at the base of the penis, and then every time they pee, it goes in a tube and goes into the bag. Very nice and tidy, no increase in infection that an indwelling catheter would have. But the 700-pounder, walk in there, pull back the sheets. All right, then I push down the fat. And when I push down the fat, there's this little penis. Literally this big. I mean, it was like this. This little teeny tiny.
Oh my
And
God.
I'm standing here with my giant condom thing. Okay. So what I had to come up with is I put the sticky stuff, there was like this benzoid stuff, sticky stuff all around this tiny little opening, because it's just like a little opening in his skin. And I stuck it down, and then I put tape all around it, and then I put towels around it with the idea, okay, he's gonna be peeing all over the place, so that's gonna be an issue. So again, bigger the man, the smaller the package.
Did you tell the doctor, like, hello, I just had to, like, tape it on
And it's gonna pee everywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
what's the point here? This isn't gonna work. Well, I mean, anyway.
So, would you be better off just doing an internal?
No, because that increases the risk of infection.
But what if you can't? Well, you found a way. I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, put towels, check your towels hourly.
Right.
Mhm. That was how I managed that. But the problem is, what if we need an accurate output count? What if we need to keep track of how much urine he's putting out? That isn't gonna happen.
Weigh the towel.
Put a cup right there. So it doesn't-
Yeah, or a urinal, you can prop a urinal up, kind of pathway into the urinal.
Now, when they urinate, is it darker, or does it, I mean, being more weight, does it?
Oh, it just depends on their level of hydration,
Okay.
as to how dark or how much. You want to say something? Arthur?
I said, should have funnel.
Oh, funnel. Oh, that's true. A kitchen funnel with a tube. That would have worked. Okay.
Like that
Whatever.
cheesy thing.
I'd be like,
You know,
All right.
the
Now let's talk about girls. Unless you have any questions about boys, that's easy.
woods, you know?
Let's talk about the girls, which are not easy. All right. The oogonium is going to produce the egg. Here we are going through mitosis. Remember that we stop at metaphase 2, and that's where all your eggs are, at metaphase 2. We talked about that a long time ago in chapter 3. After fertilization is when the egg will finish meiosis. Notice that we get 4 sperm from each one spermatogonium, but we only get 1 egg from each one oogonium. And in essence, if you think about it, the reason for that, I think I talked about that when we did chapter 3, meiosis. This 1 egg has got to support the energy for an entire embryo before it can implant into the uterus. So it needs all the guts of the other 3 eggs. So we only have 1 egg, 1 big egg. The human ovum is the largest cell in the body. The human sperm is the smallest cell in the body. So most of the stuff of 3 eggs goes into the 1, so we get 1 big one. Now then, that follicle with that 1 egg, under the influence of both LH and FSH, it takes both, in this case, to get these to mature. It begins to get bigger and bigger, and it starts getting fluid around it, and we have the antrum. This thing is called a Graafian follicle. This has got the little egg in it. Notice that as this egg gets bigger, it's stretching the wall of the ovary, and the more that wall stretches, the more estrogen is being produced. Now we're getting it really stretched, really high levels of estrogen. Then the egg pops out, leaves behind this little wound, and this wound is called the corpus luteum. That means yellow body, and that puts out progesterone, and then that lasts about a week or so, 10 days, then it heals up and becomes the corpus albicans. That means white body. So yes, every single time you've ovulated, you have a scar left. So you can see how many times you've ovulated if you were to look at your ovaries. So there's an actual slice through an ovary